This is my multimodal project for Hum 115, Trey Johnson, mythology. Prompt for this project is, I chose prompt 2. Some would say the tricksters create a bridge between the inaccessible world of the immortal gods of myth and the real world of ordinary mortals. Describe some of the traits often associated with tricksters that would make the editors of our textbooks say they meet us where they live. Give us some specific examples from the stories in textbooks to illustrate these trickster traits. Also include one or two figures from modern stories that you feel are tricksters. Finally, offer some explanation for why the trickster figure seems to be so important and ubiquitous in story, ancient myths, and modern popular storytelling. Seeing as trickster myths were my favorite part of this class, it was an easy choice for me to make. Using some of my instructional guidance from midterms and applying it to my final, I have decided to use a PowerPoint video so that I am able to use the display of what I'm reading on screen. In addition, there are less variables that affect the video, such as my personal presentation, as well as similar previous ones, such as lighting and auditory environment. While unable to see my face, one may better be able to focus on the tone and mood of my voice throughout this presentation, as well as being required to use proper use of grammar and punctuation. I am stepping out of my comfort zone as I have not used the PowerPoint in over a decade, but as the saying goes, no risk, no reward. The term meet us where we live. When it comes to meet us where we live, there is much to deliberate. This isn't a definitive term, but one can look up the meaning for. Therefore, I believe it is up for interpretations. I myself think it's similar to saying it hits close to home. This would make sense as tricksters indeed have attributes that many find in themselves. They are often seen as deceptive, ambiguous, others calling them the representation of disorder and chaos. In the myths and stories, the outcomes do not matter to the trickster, both antagonist and protagonist, not always around to cause problems, but often there to add an additional element to the story's plot. And that is why I believe they are adored villains but malicious and heroes are righteous, but a good trickster blurs the lines, usually. This is what makes them so important then and now. From the textbook. Textbook goes on to describe tricksters as frequently greedy and lazy, dishonest, gluttonous, vain, and impulsive. They are characters that are outside the norms of society. Furthermore, they can be used to describe our most inescapable animal needs to eat, excrete, and procreate. Other times they are used to tell stories of great intellect, when Prometheus tricks Zeus and brings fire to man. On the opposite side, tricksters can be incredibly stupid. Such is the case of Papandir, the character that is so ignorant that to many it is comedic. Modern tricksters. There are many modern tricksters, some obvious and some unique. I feel that the Joker and Loki are overdone, easy, and droll, so I will not be using them in this presentation. In addition, Captain Jack Sparrow from Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean is a trickster that I will also not be using. The first I will be referring to is Gin Ichimaru from the popular anime Bleach. Gin constantly has a smile on his face and often speaks in condescending, polite tones. He finds pleasure in toying with people's emotions and rarely trusted even before he betrays the Soul Society. Gin is both deadly and a master of persuasion. I personally wanted to include this character because of its obvious character traits like being socially inept. This is something that many people could relate to, making him another piece of the puzzle in a fantastic storyline. He often leaves in the middle of an event and seems entirely disconnected. There's a picture. Modern tricksters continued. Now on to more recognizable tricksters, Deadpool. Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, is a Marvel character created to mock a DC character, Deathstroke. In addition to blurring the lines between hero and villain, he often blurs the lines between non-fiction and reality. Often referred to as the master of the fourth wall, his comics often feature him interacting with the reader. Deadpool has a minor moral compass, but is very much against being deemed a hero and is often motivated by money, women, and other pleasures of the flesh. Comics often depict him in a romantic relationship with the female Grim Reaper, which is ironic considering he is immortal. Deadpool is a fan favorite because his trickster antics keep the reader engaged with new, unique, and often incredibly violent adventures. To conclude, I believe that the tricksters are both useful and important characters in storytelling, perhaps not as much as an antagonist or protagonist. However, when it comes to writing a story, the more characters you have, the better chance of covering all the archetypes and making a better story in the end. Look how many characters are used in Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. Come to think of it, I don't really think there is a trickster character in the Star Wars films. Anyway, I think many people are fascinated by this archetype because, like I said before, they step outside the social norm. They are the original nonconformist and the anarchist. With a final note, I wanted to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to learn so much from your class. It was both an entertaining and educational event that I greatly enjoyed, as well as learning new methods of research and conversation within discussions. I very much believe that it will, in a way, assist me with my goals in the future and in a class I will not forget anytime soon. Thank you, Ms. Morris.